Ta-da! We have our windfall. Hello you guys, and welcome to another episode of our Irish Country Life here in the west coast of Ireland. I am super excited today. My wee man is returning home. He has been away with his new girlfriend, Peggy, for the weekend. Yes, they headed off to the Aran Islands for a weekend alone. So he's coming back this afternoon and we're going to have a lovely treat in store for him and Peggy, as Peggy's favourite is apple tart. Bit of tart, I hear you say. Well, apparently that's her favourite. So we're going to make a traditional Irish apple tart, but we're going to elevate it slightly by adding a couple of little things that don't make any difference really to the making of it, but so much more to the taste. So we're going to head off now to the kitchen and we're going to make these apple tarts. We're going to make two, just in case Peggy gets camera shy again and she decides she doesn't want to be in front of the camera. At least we can send an apple tart off home with her. Okay. He's also informed me that he's got me a gift, and another one for his other daddy, Chris. So I'm really excited to see what he's got for us. Although I hope they didn't spend their whole weekend shopping and buying gifts and spending his allowance, because I will be very angry with him. However, we're going to go now to the kitchen and we're going to crack on because we've got a lot to do to get these apple tarts ready. So, see you in a minute. Okay, you guys, so that delicious apple tart. What we're going to do is we're going to run through the ingredients for the pastry first, and then we'll run through the ingredients a little bit later for the filling. So, pastry, everybody gets scared of making pastry, especially if you want like a really nice short crust pastry for a pie, like an apple pie or an apple tart or a rhubarb tart, etc. But it's really, really, really easy. Now remember, I'm making two here. So if you want to make one, because I feel if you're going to go to the effort, it's nice, and it freezes really well. Apple tart or pastry freezes really well, so you can freeze it either in the pastry stage or you can make the actual tart and freeze the tart for another day. Hopefully not for too many days when Peggy's coming to visit for apple tart. But anyway. Okay, so in my bowl here, I've got 500 grams of plain flour. Secret when always working with pastry is cold, ice cold ingredients and a very hot oven. Okay, keep the ingredients as cold as you can for as long as you can. Look at these delicious apples that I've picked from my apple tree outside in the orchard garden. They're going to be going into the filling. So 500 grams of plain flour, and that has been sieved into this bowl, and this bowl has been put into the fridge for about 30 minutes. Okay, into that I'm going to put 200 grams of butter and 50 grams of lard. I feel I like to add a little bit of lard to my pastry because it gives it that extra special shortness. I don't know why, but it does. So what I've done is I've coated my butter in a little bit of flour. I put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes, and the same with the lard, and I've grated it on the grater, and it's come out like this. Okay, and then I put the bowl back into the freezer and left it for another 30 minutes. So my butter is really, really, really frozen. So I'm literally going to put that into my flour. Okay, and you can see my lard in there as well. Okay, you don't need to get your hands dirty, you don't need to do anything. All you need to do is get a knife in there and just break it through. Remember, you've already grated the butter, so you've already broken it down. That is in place of the rubbing in method. You'll find the flakes of butter through the pastry add that lovely bit of lightness, because the butter will steam up as it's cooking and it will add a little bit of air to your pastry and keep it nice and light. Okay, so once we've incorporated our butter and our lard into our flour. You don't have to use lard, you can just use all butter. So it would be 250 grams of butter for 2 apple tarts. Okay, then I'm going to put into that, I'm going to put 50 grams of sugar. Okay, and that's just to sweeten the pastry slightly. There will be more sugar and that will be added in with the apples later, but for the pastry it's just 50 grams of sugar. Then to that, I'm going to add 12 tablespoons of ice cold water. So again, I've taken cold water from the fridge and I've put it into the freezer so that it doesn't go into a frozen ice cube, because you won't be able to incorporate it if it does. But just so it gets incorporated nice and cold. And I wouldn't add all your water together. Keep some of it back just in case. Because sometimes depending on the flour, it can get a little bit too wet, and then you have to start adding more flour, and that throws the balance of the flour and the fat out. Listen to me talking like as if I'm some sort of expert. But anyway. Okay, so that's all 12 tablespoons of water have been added, and I'm going to get my hands in there now, and I'm just going to slightly bring it together with my hands, just that little bit more. Now, because you've had everything ice cold and frozen, you don't need to then wrap this pastry and put it in the fridge like some people do for a further 30 minutes to chill. It's already really, really cold. So you just want to bring it together with your hands. Okay, and once you've brought it all together with your hands to form a nice bowl, you can turn it out then onto your floured, lightly floured surface. Again, remembering trying to add flour to make sure it doesn't stick, but not so much flour that it ends up throwing out the balance of the flour and the fat. Okay, so now I've brought it together to form a nice bowl. I'm literally going to just quickly turn it out onto a nice floured surface. Okay, and you can see all that lovely butter and lard just flecked through that pastry. So that's going straight out now onto a floured surface. Okay, so we're making 2 apple tarts here. So I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces. So I'm going to cut it in half and then cut it in half again. Okay. Get our bowl like that. Any bits on our fingers, we can get them off and onto the pastry as well. And just that. They'll all come together anyway. Okay, so cut it in half. Okay, back into the bowl that half, and then we'll cut this part in half again. So now we've got a top and a bottom for this one, and we've got a top and a bottom for the next one. So now what I suggest you do is you turn your oven on to preheat, okay? And I'm going to give you your temperature for your oven now. So basically you need to preheat your oven to either 325 Fahrenheit, 160 Celsius fan, or gas Mark III. Or if you have an Aga that's already preheated, you can just throw it into the top shelf of the Aga, and it will take about 30 minutes to cook. Okay. So now we're going to lightly flour our pastry again and our board, and we're going to start rolling. And as we're rolling, we're just going to constantly be turning it so that we're going to try and keep that circular shape. The more of a circular shape we have, the easier it will be for us to get it onto the plate. Now, as I'm doing it, I'm flouring the rolling pin slightly as well. So we just literally want about the size of our plate, so we've just got a little tiny bit more to go. Nice crisp pastry at the bottom is to use a little bit of lard. Some people would butter or grease their plate with margarine, but I find that butter and margarine don't get to as high a temperature as lard does in the oven. And I think so if you spread a little bit of lard, what you're actually doing is you're creating a lovely base for which to get nice crispy results. So for your pastry, lift your pastry up over your rolling pin and glide it across your plate. Okay, making sure you fill your plate nice like that by trimming off any excess around with just your knife. Okay, and there you have your base for your tart number 1. Okay, so now I'm going to roll out. I've prepared my 2 bottoms. Now I'm going to roll out my tops, and my tops will be slightly larger. So you know the trimmings I took off the plate when I shaped them into the size of the plate? I used those trimmings to add to the extra piece for the top, because the top needs to be slightly larger than the bottom because it has to cover all those delicious apples. Okay, so that's that piece. So I'm just going to roll that over the pin like that and put that to the side, and that's now ready. Now let's get on with the filling. So I've used 12 delicious apples from the garden, okay? So you're going to use 6 if you're making 1 apple tart. And what you're going to do is you're going to just pile your apples, nice and thinly sliced, like I said. And a way to prevent them from going really brown is to put them in some cold water with a little bit of lemon juice. And that stops them from going really brown. I don't mind them having a little bit of brown on them because I think it looks quite nice, the colour, when you cut in. Okay, so I think that's enough. We've piled enough apples on there. What we need to do now is we need to go around the edge of the pastry with a little bit of cold water and a brush, and we need to just seal the pastry so that it allows the top layer to stick to it when it's added. Okay, so we're going to sprinkle our sugar on over our apples. And I always hold back a little bit of sugar because I like to put a little bit over the top of the egg glaze as well. Okay. Now, folks, what makes this apple tart slightly more elevated from your traditional Irish apple tart is, first of all, we're going to use some little cubes of butter. And we're going to just dot them around the apple. And that just helps to emulsify in with the apple and make it even more rich. As if we look like we need more rich. However, trust me, it makes a big, big difference. So you want to put about 5 or 6 little knobs of butter. I'm missing one off this side. Okay, in there. And then I always pop 2 cloves. Just 2, that's enough. One there and one there. And you'll be amazed at the smell as this is cooking. Then a pinch of cinnamon. I know, I hear you shouting at the screen saying, that's not a traditional apple pie. I did say it's a traditional apple pie that's been elevated to our standards of excellence taste. We do have Peggy coming, you know. Okay, enough of that rubbish. Now, the final ingredient to just make it way over the top, super indulgent. Some Irish cognac Hennessy brandy. Now we won't go mad, so we will actually get the spoon and we will actually measure out, whoops, a couple of tablespoons. And you can have 1 or 2 for good measure if you like. And this just literally gives it that little bit of a kick. Okay, enough brandy. Obviously, the brandy will cook off anyway with the heat. But if you've got children, you want to omit the brandy. But you know, sometimes it's no harm to let them taste it. It might help them to sleep tonight. Okay, that's what my mother used to say. She used to dunk, she's going to kill me for saying this. She used to dip our dodie in Baileys. So we'd go to sleep. There we are. Now, roll your pastry out over the top. Okay, and give it a little bit of a helping hand to get in there. Lift up your beautiful plate. Get your knife round your edge. Okay. And there are my scraps for my jam tart that my mummy used to let me make. Okay, so we're going to put some holes to allow the steam to escape with our fork. All over the top. Okay, make sure you cut through the pastry, and that is to allow the steam to escape so it doesn't explode. I think it gives a nice pretty design on there as well. A little bit like shortbread. Okay, some people just cut across on the top. I like to do it with the fork. Now, next stage we need to do is we need to put our egg wash. So our beaten egg, and we're going to go all the way around the tart, making sure to cover all that pastry to give it that lovely golden colour when it's cooked. Some of that sugar that's you've left over from the filling, you're just going to sprinkle it over the top, like so. Okay, and then to finish this one off, we're going to simply crimp it with a fork. And this is the way my mammy used to always do it. This is the traditional way. Now, for Peggy's one that she's going to bring home, we're going to make it a fluted edge. Anyway, I don't know why I'm doing that because she ain't no snob, but anyway, we'll see. There you have it, my friends. There is a beautiful, elevated, traditional Irish apple pie ready for the oven. So we will put this aside and we will get on with doing apple pie number 2, or apple tart number 2, should I say. De resistance, the brandy. You wait till you smell this house in 30 minutes. Oops. Oops, Peggy. I'm glad you're not sleeping with my scooter tonight. Okay, so what we're going to do with the edges of this one is we're going to scallop the edges. So with the back of a knife, you put your finger down and you push all the way along, and you just keep pushing the knife in to your finger. Okay, and don't worry if it comes away from the edge of the plate because we'll be pushing it back out afterwards. What you're doing here is you're just making sure that you're sealing the pastry and you're giving it a nice crimped edge. Okay, once you've got all your edges sealed and crimped, then you literally go round with your finger and you pull it back out again. Again, prick your tart all over with your fork. Be quite generous with your egg glaze. There's nothing worse than a dry looking tart. You want it to have that lovely golden crust. Okay, and then finally your last little sprinkling of sugar over the top. Into your hot oven for 30 minutes. I'll see you when they're ready. I'm so glad you're back. Safe and sound, huh? My little baby munchkin. Did you have a nice time? Yes? Oh, lovely. And you brought back gifts. You didn't need to spend all your money buying gifts for us, did you? Okay, let's have a look and see what we've got. So apparently, the gold one is mine. The gold ribbon, so we shall open up and see what you got. What did you get, Scooter? Oh, this is terribly exciting. Oh, wow. How beautiful. Oh, look at that. So I got a beautiful scarf, a hand knit from the Aran Islands. Wow. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, baby. You're so good. And you've got one for Daddy as well. Okay. Let's have a look and see. Did you get him the same? No? Okay. Oh, you got Daddy a blue one. Oh, look. Isn't that lovely? Wow. These are going to be so nice, and it's just in the right time. We're coming into autumn. Now, let's see. So we've got one more here. But this has got paw prints on. Is this yours? Let's have a look and see what this one is. Well, this is terribly exciting. I love this part. Like Christmas Day. Oh, wow. It's a McGrath Christmas stocking. Isn't that lovely? But there's only one. There is 4 of us in this relationship, I'll have you know. Where is Peggy's? Where's mine? And where's your other daddy's? You're telling me you're the only one who's going to get a Christmas stocking? Isn't that so cute? Okay, I forgive you. We'll have to get lots of treats to go into that stocking. And there's one more here with a bright pink bow. Oh my God. You are not going to believe it. Apparently, let's get it open first. Apparently, this is a present for Peggy. However, come back here and sit down. You're not getting apple tart just yet. Oh, wow, it's beautiful. It's an embossed Irish harp, leather notebook. And apparently, it's for Peggy, but it's not allowed to leave the house because it's where we're to write down all her expenses and how expensive she is. Get down from the apple tart, you runt. How clever was he to suggest such a thing? I'm sure she's not in agreement with it, which is why it's still here and hasn't gone home with her. But a good idea. Well done, Scooter. A man after my own thoughts. So this is the notebook that will have all of Peggy's expenditure written in. So be warned, we're keeping a very close eye on the purse strings. Well, that's what Scooter's telling me anyway. Okay, you guys, so the apple tarts are done. They've had 35 minutes in the oven, and I think you'll agree they look absolutely delicious and golden and crusty and crunchy and, can you hear that? Amazing. So, we'll have some a little bit later with a cup of tea. Okay, folks, it's time for that delicious apple tart with a nice cup of tea. That is just absolutely out of this world. How is that, Scooty? Nice crispy pastry? Wonderful. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And I'll fill you in on any further gossip from the dirty weekend when we return very soon. Take care, my friends.